Hi, this is Cheryl Peterson with the Community of Christ Scientists, reading a Christian Science Bible lesson from the New International Version of the Bible, copyrighted by Biblica, and from 21st Century Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, a modern version of Mary Baker Eddy's Science and Health. The subject, mind. Golden text from Psalms. Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not trust in an idol or swear by a false god. Mark. The Pharisees and some of the teachers of the law, who had come from Jerusalem, gathered around Jesus and saw some of his disciples eating food with hands that were defiled, that is, unwashed. The Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they give their hands a ceremonial washing, holding to the tradition of the elders. When they come from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash, and they observe many other traditions, such as the washing of cups, pitchers, and kettles. So the Pharisees and teachers of the law asked Jesus, "Why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders, instead of eating their food with defiled hands?" Jesus replied, "Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites, as it is written, 'These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules.'" You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions. And he continued, "You have a fine way of setting aside the commands of God in order to observe your own traditions. For Moses said, 'Honor your father and mother,' and anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. But you say that if anyone declares that what might have been used to help father or mother is korban, that is, devoted to God, then you no longer let them do anything for their father or mother. Thus you nullify the word of God by your tradition that you have handed down, and you do many things like that." Again, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them." After he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about this parable. "Are you so dull?" he asked. "Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? For it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body." In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. He went on, "What comes out of a person is what defiles them. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. Sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile a person." 21st Century Science and Health. The power of suggestion has a long and capricious history. Research involving the human mind and its functions became active rather primitively in the 18th century with Franz Anton Mesmer. He recognized that human beings can be manipulated, but didn't understand the process. Mesmer theorized this manipulation occurred by means of a physical magnetic field. He even concluded that this magnetic field could be transmitted from one breathing creature to another as a therapeutic influential agent, and termed his theory animal magnetism. Today, it is realized that Mesmer actually hit upon the power of suggestion, or collective mentality. Concerning his theory, the Encyclopedia Americana states, although it was later deemed a pseudoscience, the theory helped pioneer the study of the unconscious mind, hypnosis, and the development of medical psychiatry. Mesmer's name, however, is preserved in the term mesmerize. when people are being influenced by mortals' persuasions or peer pressure, or when they are getting caught up in groupthink or obsessed by some image or activity, they are mesmerized. In the 19th century, the term hypnotism came into vogue, describing the process that characteristically induces the mental state of suggestibility. Today, hypnotism is studied, used as a form of entertainment, and sometimes utilized in the treatment of mental and physical disorders. But the scattered experimentation and observations are still not completely understood. Human beings can feel hypnotized for no apparent reason, doing things they wouldn't normally do. While on the other hand, there are some persons who just can't be hypnotized. Why? Humankind is advancing toward an understanding of mental phenomena, of crowd thinking or hypnosis. In the 20th century, Carl Jung distinguished 3 psychic levels. 1. Consciousness. 2. The personal unconsciousness. And 3. The collective unconscious. Observations of the workings of hypnosis, the collective unconscious, or crowd thinking, offer convincing evidence that they are not remedial agents. I am convinced that the effects of outside mortal mental influences on those who practice it and on the people who do not resist it lead to moral and physical death. If hypnotism seems to heal diseases, or mental collective noise seems to alleviate loneliness, those appearances are deceptive, since error cannot remove the effects of error. Discomfort under error is preferable to comfort. In every instance, the effect of suggestion is only the effect of illusion. Any seeming benefit derived from mental manipulation is proportional to one's faith in magic. The process, either unconsciously or consciously, of thought manipulation has no scientific foundation, for God is uninfluenced and always conscious, always consciously governing that which is real, harmonious, and eternal. God expresses divine consciousness in us. God did not give us an animal or human consciousness to lose control of or control. In science, a hypnotic state is a belief, a denial of the one spiritual influence. Crowd thinking, mass human consciousness, or mental noise possess no intelligence, power, or reality, and are only imitations and enticements of the mortal human mind. There is only one real attraction, that of spirit. The pointing of the needle to the North Pole symbolizes this all-embracing power or attraction of God, divine mind. Gravitational pulls, the stars, and electromagnetic forces do not have power over us, just as they have no power over our Maker. God governs the universe. We reflect God's power and have the dominion not to be influenced by the planets, by Earth, and its mortal people. The mild forms of suggestion are disappearing, and its aggressive features are coming to the front. The mechanism of crime, hidden in the dark recesses of mortal thought, is every hour producing more complicated and subtle confusion. So inconceivable are the present methods of the human mind's influences that they trick people into indolence and produce the very apathy on the subjects which the criminal desires. The power of suggestion, with its many different disguises, such as herd, isolated mentality, and the adoption of unoriginal thinking, causes people to make mistakes throughout the thought process. In a psychology textbook, readers are asked, hypnosis, altered consciousness, or role-playing? Answering that question is not as important as realizing that we need to spiritually think for ourselves. Otherwise, indifferent, self-destructive, and depressed behavior is believed to be our own thinking, and it will be exhibited. We need to encourage in ourselves and others the right and responsibility to think for ourselves as God created us capable of doing. Humanity must learn that the influences of propaganda or crowd thinking are powerless. Crowd thinking is oppressive, but only a phase of nothingness. Christian Science devastates the vacuum of evil thinking and preeminently promotes goodwill and virtue in families and therefore in the community. The Apostle Paul refers to the personification of evil as the god of this age. Attack the evils of dishonesty and craftiness, not in people. Attack the evils of dishonesty and craftiness, not people. Humanity is fortunate when the terrors of human mortal mind are defeated through science. We can escape from sin and mortality as we overcome the mythological and primitive suggestions of human mind. In the first steps of mental liberation, however, the knowledge of good and evil isn't scientifically seen because evil isn't real. Mind science has nothing to do with sitting on the fence of impertinent knowledge, because mind science is of God and demonstrates the divine principle, working out the purposes of good only. The maximum of good is the infinite God and God's idea, the all in all. Anything unlike the conscious infinite is a suggested lie. As named in Christian Science, mesmerism or crowd thinking is the specific term for error or human mortal mind. It comes from the false belief that mind is inside its thought or matter, and is both evil and good, or that evil is as real as good and more powerful. This penchant to live out a mortal life has not one quality of truth, and is either ignorant or malicious. The malicious forms of hypnotic suggestions end in moral idiocy. The truths of immortal mind annihilate the human mind's weak and stupid tendencies, which wander in circles like blind bugs flying into artificial lights and getting burned. In reality, there is no human mortal mind, and consequently, no transfer of temporal thoughts and willpowers. Life and being are of God. No harm can occur in the realm of science where scientific, eternal thoughts pass from God to us. Matthew. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said, "be clean." Immediately he was cleansed of his leprosy. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you don't tell anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them." 21st Century Science and Health. Belief produces the results of belief, and the results remain so long as the belief continues. The remedy consists in investigating the trouble thoroughly, find and cast out by denial the mistaken thinking which produces human problems. Make sure never to honor a flawed conviction by calling it a law. Do not cede obedience to materialism. Affirm the spiritual lawgivers, truth, life, and love. as the only legitimate and eternal demands on us. Spirit enforces obedience through divine statutes. Controlled by divine intelligence, we are harmonious and eternal. Mind is the grand revelator, and there can be no power except that which is derived from mind. If mind was first chronologically, is first potentially, and must be first eternally, then give to mind the glory, honor, dominion, and power everlastingly due its holy name.